So Lamar Jackson gave us the Bron GIF. Pretty sure we could play that here. Shouldn't be no copyright there. So that's the GIF. And why is he reacting that way? Well, because some blue check boys were talking greasy. And the blue check boys in question are Mike Florio and Chris Sims. And I will move myself out the way. Again, I'm able to do all of this because of Ecamm Live. If you want to know more about Ecamm Live, the link is in the description. So according to Mike Florio and Chris Sims, Lamar Jackson had a massive shoe deal fall through due to not having an agent. And again, this person saying this hope that it isn't true. Well, guess what? Not only did Lamar react accordingly with the LeBron GIF, but then we have some more information, again, from the timeline. That's why this show is called Timeline T. So Jack Settleman says, funny to hear them bring this up now. This happened multiple years ago. The media not knowing anything about Lamar's contract because they can't get inside info from an agent is driving the media insane. It's incredible to watch. So yes, that is accurate. This deal that they're referencing, that they're talking about in 2023, happened years ago. So why are they bringing this up now? They're bringing this up now because your favorites are not actually insiders. Your favorites aren't actually digging through and getting the fresh, uncooked tea, unearthed tea. They're actually just texting a bunch of agents, managers, so on and so forth, scouts, trainers, people in these buildings, janitors, whoever. That's who their sources are. So when you hear them say they got the inside information and, you know, this person was able to track down this story and how does he know all this information? Well, because someone is texting it to him or her. That's usually how this goes. So Lamar doesn't have representation. He does not have an agent. And that's been driving people insane in terms of the media because they can't speculate. A lot of these shows that y'all watch, a lot of these shows that get a lot of clicks and a lot of views are predicated on speculation. And the validation of that speculation is to say, well, I have sources close and sources close are telling me this, sources close are telling me that. But in actuality, they're just literally texting a whole bunch of people and hoping that someone would give them something, a morsel of information, a nugget of a detail that they could then run with to run the clicks up, to run the views up. The cat's out the bag. Lamar don't got no representation, so there's no one close to Lamar that can leak anything. Because no one who's actually close to Lamar would be leaking anything. It would be his agent. It would be his manager. Those are usually the ones that are passing information along to the blue check boys and girls. But because there is none of that here, now you see them just pulling out anything. How far back do we need to go to be able to pull out some information to run our numbers up? To act like we can correlate all of this stuff. Because they don't want star athletes like Lamar to continue to move this way. Because then that's going to dry out a lot of these shows, a lot of these content providers' milk train. They're not going to be able to have insider by their name anymore. If a lot of these star players, high-level, top-tier elite players like Lamar Jackson has no representation. Because unless Lamar wants you to know how much he wants, you ain't finding out. Now, when Lamar actually does sign, whether it's the franchise tag or whatever, that's not going to come from Lamar's side. It's going to come from the Ravens side or whatever team that maybe allegedly trade for him, so on and so forth. The teams are going to leak the information, not Lamar. But I tell you this, though, if Lamar gets that 300 guaranteed, I hope he leaks it. I hope he decides to leak that or just come on the timeline. Come on the timeline like he did with the LeBron GIF and just come on here with the Scrooge McDuck GIF of just back swimming in gold. That's what I want Lamar to do. So if it's not coming from here, if it's not coming from LJ_ERA8, your insiders have no idea. Your blue check boys and girls have no idea what to make of this Lamar Jackson situation because They're not getting a text in the middle of the night. They're not getting a phone call from a scout in the middle of the night. It's not happening. There's no info being leaked from that camp because that camp is all about Lamar. And that camp circle is very tight because it's literally just Lamar at the head of it. And that's it. So the narratives are going to continue with Lamar. And I find it surprising that this is where we're at now, to where two people that are thought to be credible, two people that have blue checks, one being a former player, would have to go to a story that's years old and try to corroborate with a story that's happening now just to act like, let's continue to paint the narrative why this is bad. Because here's the thing, like I said earlier, they don't want these high-tier athletes to not have representation because then it dries up their status. But what's another reason why they would do something like this? What's another reason why a media entity would want to put a story out there to say that an athlete not having representation cost him a shoe deal, a massive shoe deal? If you can think of another reason, let me know in the comments, because I'm here for it. Because the only thing I can think of is that means your insider status is a wrap. Your analyst status is a wrap. Because you're left on the outside looking in. They're like you and I. They at the crib. If there's no one leaking information, they at the crib. They're not in a fancy TV studio with backdrops and all that. They're not here. If they can't get no tea, if they can't get a text, if they can't get a phone call for someone in the building, they're not here. They're on these streams like us. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I can tell you right now, I hope Lamar gets his bread. I think it's likely he's going to get franchise tagged. And then the Ravens will figure out what to do with him at that point, whether it's to trade him or whether it's to finally work out a long-term deal. I saw something where they were saying how there was another contract that he allegedly turned down where it was actually more guaranteed money than Kyler Murray. We know that was a big storyline of where he turned down an offer where it was $133 million guaranteed, and that's where Kyler Murray got $160. Now there's reports that there was a deal prior to that was $170 guaranteed. Now, again, it was still bloated with a whole bunch of funny money on top of it, but in terms of just pure guarantee, there was a contract that was given to him allegedly. Now, again, this is all leaked from the Ravens' perspective because Lamar ain't talking because he doesn't have a representative, he doesn't have a manager or an agent to leak this. So this is all coming from the Ravens' perspective. Keep that in mind when you're hearing this stuff come down the timeline. When you're hearing these reports or these sources, understand 99.9 of this is not coming from Lamar Jackson. So the Ravens are putting out there that they offered him a contract of $170 million guaranteed, and he turned that down. Now, to me, that's obviously, we could do the math. 170 is more than 160. But should Lamar Jackson have taken that deal as well? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, because the bar was raised when Deshaun Watson got that 230. The bar was raised. And owners can be mad. Owners can feel a way that the Browns jumped out the window and did it. But when it comes right down to it, they did it. They did it at the most important position in the sport. So therefore, when you have a next guy up, you see what Daniel Jones is asking for? 40 plus mil, 45 M's for Daniel Jones. Derek Carr asking for 35 plus. What you think Lamar gonna ask for? If Daniel Jones is getting 45, what do you think Lamar's going to ask for? Are you out of your mind? 300 guaranteed. 300. I've been on the record from day one. As soon as that contract came down, 230. Oh, if I'm Lamar, I'm asking for 300. I hope we see it. You ask for 300, you probably settle for 250, 275, but you have to ask for it. What are the Ravens without Lamar Jackson? What are they? Franchise tag him, okay. At some point, you're going to have to run me my money. If they franchise tag him, what, they get to do it twice, right? If they franchise tag him for 2 years, You know all the quarterbacks that are going to get paid in that span? You're just going to have to pay him that much more 2 years from now. So what are you going to do, Ravens? Do you want to pay him the $300 now? Or potentially, because you know Mahomes, they're going to go and try to renegotiate. Justin Herbert's got to get paid. Jalen Hurts has to get paid. There's a lot of top-tier QBs that are lined up to get paid. The longer you wait to give Lamar Jackson his bread, the more you're going to have to pay on the back end. You're making a bet that he's not going to be as valuable in 2 years. That's a dangerous game. I would not play that game. As you see, every top-tier quarterback in this league is a dual-threat quarterback. You have one that was a dual-threat quarterback back when they were still trying to call him a running back. And he was still MVP of the league. Now it's the norm to have a dual-threat mobile quarterback. And you're trying to wait him out, assuming he's going to either get injured or become worse in 2 years? Does that really benefit you? I don't know. The Ravens are in a weird spot there. I don't understand. I know Ozzie Newsome is kind of still around that organization. Wasn't that one of his last picks, drafted Lamar? I wonder if we could get some real thoughts from Ozzie Newsome, because I would think even he would know to go ahead and pay that man. Go ahead and pay that man.